Welcome to That's Trash. Can I touch your hair? This is our first episode. We are obviously quite excited about this. This has been a long time coming. Maybe, Mahkeebah, you could tell us how we came up with the title.
I mean, initially, it started with me telling Sideah a story of a woman petting me in the bank, but it kind of is a bigger picture issue of how, particularly when you are of color and you have curly hair or more textured hair, it seems to be treated in a way that it's like, you know, a show and tell. It's a bigger conversation, but it really did start with the story of a woman petting me in the bank.
Can I touch your hair?
She didn't even ask,
I feel like that's
actually.
etched in my mind. I don't know what's worse.
I think for me, what's worse is people going to touch my hair and then being like, oh yeah, you guys are weird about that. And it's like, no, I wouldn't just go up and touch someone without their permission anyway. Like, we're all about consent in these parts. So the fact that you think because my hair is different from yours, whether it be in your mind black hair or textured hair or beautiful or whatever, doesn't give you the right to go up to someone and treat them like you're in a petting zoo. I'm not a sheep, despite what this may imply. A stranger coming up to me and being like, oh my God, your hair's so beautiful, may I touch it? Versus one of my friends being like, oh, well, I'm allowed to touch your hair because I'm your friend. I'm like, no one's allowed to touch my hair, because you touch it, it frizzes and then it looks whack. So it's not even about being black. It's about like, I'm very vain and I want it to look nice all the time.
Nobody touch my hair. I don't want anybody touching my hair. If we're dating, I don't need, like,
No.
I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of or read where the man runs his fingers through the woman's hair. That sounds like a nightmare to me. You can keep all of that.
It's literally my nightmare. Or if I'm having an especially greasy day and they're like, ew.
So we want to welcome on Tat. We have her joining our conversation and we're so excited to have her here. So welcome, Tat.
I'm so excited to have Tat.
Hi, Tat.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome to That's Trash. Let's talk about hair.
Tat, one thing that we all have in common is that you also spent quite a bit of time in North Vancouver.
Sure did. I moved there so I guess I was I turned 10 there. So I moved there in 97. And it was a pretty big culture shock because I was born in Ontario. I was born in Toronto and we moved a bunch of places. We lived in Jamaica. I lived in a bunch of small towns in Ontario, Buffalo, New York, and then Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And like those places were also pretty white. North Van was like this particular kind of white that I had never seen before. It was all the similar kind of white. And I think I come from different places where it was like, oh, different kinds of white people. There was like the country ones and like the middle class ones with their fancy cars and whatever. And I don't know, I just went to like a weird hippie private school all of a sudden. And it was just like kids that had never eaten meat or non-organic food. And I had just come from like an American like public school cafeteria where we had like tater tot days. And I got like chocolate milk. I was like, nutrition.
Now you're eating tempeh.
There was a pizza day, a tater tot day, a burger day. I think there was 2 pizza days, and like there was not a vegetable in sight in that situation. And I came here, and they were like, "Oh, biodynamic apple chips," and I was like, "I don't understand any of those words besides the apple part." But yeah, it was a pretty big shock. Yeah.
Well, and I think to give a little like editor's note here, the whole organic and biodynamic tempeh, all of that stuff happening in North Van was happening long before it was trendy to be a vegan. Like it was a special microclimate of an area. To give you an idea, North Vancouver is about 30 minutes outside of Vancouver or downtown Vancouver. It's always been a pretty nice area. It's very wealthy. I used to always like to refer to it as Fern Gully because it was this very special, like forest-filled zone where people beat to the sound of their own drum. But it's also a place that if you are different from the norm, you really, really, really stick out.
And I felt like it was like a weird, yeah, like exactly like you're saying. It's it wasn't the norm anywhere else. And they just kind of expected that everyone lived their life that way, and that it was so weird to not know all of these things. But I'm like, have you stepped outside your weird bubble? Because like not a lot of people are living their life like exactly the way that you are. And I find it very extreme that you don't want to like learn or hear about, you know, or most of it, just like anything else that they didn't believe in was just like trash, basically. Like, but yeah, but that's what I mean. It's just like full circle. They were really judgy about a lot of stuff, and like I felt a lot from a lot of just the parents. Like the kids weren't necessarily like intentionally judgy, but it came through their parents.
And the thing about North Van is that because it's such a nice area, because it's so beautiful, because it's so safe and everything, it's as if that way of life is the right way. So if you question it, it's very strange to question it, because people say, well, we're eating organic and we're doing this and I'm taking care of my kids. Why would you question it? Why would you be against it? So I feel like it can also be a little bit suffocating.
And we weren't in the economic situation where we could be affording all of these like fancy things and getting probiotic and going to homeopathic doctor and like all these extra hippie medicine things that weren't cheap and not accessible to everyone. And it was just kind of like you had to kind of work your way up to be at their like ultimate level of life. Like that's, you know, it's like, oh, that's okay that you don't know what this is, but I'll show it to you, and then you'll know that that's the right way to be. Like we're supposed to, it almost felt like we were all supposed to get onto their super rich hippie level. And if you weren't at that level, you weren't living a positive life almost.
And I feel like, I mean, historically, in terms of people like BIPOC backgrounds, a lot of our practices and traditions stem from sustainability, organic living. Like, you know, in the Caribbean where my dad's from, like my grandma has a whole garden full of different, I always say lotions and potions, but it's like fruits and vegetables, which, you know, you make something and make, I don't know, a salad or a stew out of it. And then the leftovers you use as a paste in your hair or for your skin or a salve and all these different things. But there's this kind of narrative, I feel, in certain communities, and this is like particularly as it associates to beauty and like segueing into kind of hair. If you're not spending like top dollar on the top product from this salon or whatever, then it's seen as lesser than like when I was putting coconut oil in my hair as a young child.
Yeah, as soon as they take it and like make it this like now trendy thing, and it's like, if you add coconut oil to it now, it has like, you know, it has this extra like exotic mystique. Like, you know, it's like, oh, these other people used to use it, but we didn't believe them before. But now we've taken it and marketed it towards you. And now it is the right thing to do.
Put it in a package with millennial pink and like curly Q writing.
When coconut oil became popular and argan oil, and I'm not saying that these oils aren't beneficial, but I remember my dad used to order shea butter for me when I was 6 or 7 years old. And my friends would come over and say, ew, it's so greasy. Or, oh, your skin's going to break out. Like, I can't use that because it's just greasy and it's terrible for your skin. And now you realize that none of those claims are true, but it was really hurtful because I felt like I was using something that worked for me, was so beneficial, was a beautiful product. And everyone was telling me that it wasn't worth anything. And now you want to talk about coconut oil? Like, it's a whole world, baby, that we've been using for years, but now you've accepted it because it's light. Oh, yeah.
Oh, do you want to know a full circle moment for me? So you guys have known me for a long time, so the listeners do not know this maybe about me, but I used to have like platinum blonde hair. I was blondorexic. Admittedly, I was addicted to the bottle of bleach. It's a shameful moment in my past. It wasn't that long ago, but I remember a girl that I've grown up with my entire life. When we used to go tanning at Ambleside Beach in West Vancouver when we were younger, I remember one time showing up and I had either like cocoa butter or coconut oil that I was using to tan with. And she was like, ew, it smells. Like, why would you want to smell like chocolate grease like that? Da, 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 da. So then, full circle, years later, when I'm platinum blonde in my hair, like I hate to admit this because I know my family's listening and they said this to me, but I was like, no, it's not. But it was like snapping off. It wasn't doing well, but I was like, it looks great. I wanted it this short. But I remember the same friend. Yeah, I totally wanted it this in this pixie cut.
Yeah, just this one side, this part right here.
But this is one, like, it's like, yeah. This
it's an asymmetrical pop. You don't know what you're talking about.
But this one girl, the same girl that said ew when I was like slathering myself in coconut oil, goes to me. She's like, oh, you know what I heard really works for breakage? And I was like, oh, what? She goes, coconut oil. If you just like slather it on your hair, like before you go to bed or before you get your hair bleached out again, it protects the strands. I was like, are you kidding me? The same thing that you told me I was gross for slathering on my skin so I could look like a greased chicken. Like,
wow.
The nerve.
Cool.
The nerve. And it was because she'd bought, I won't name the brand, but there's a brand that sells at Sephora. It's a very popular brand. It's a clean vegan brand. Everyone loves it. They do make a very nice natural deodorant, but they literally sell a tube that's, or not a tube, a jar that's probably like 12 ounces of product for $68 or something crazy of pure coconut oil. And they market it as a moisturizing hair mask or like an everything oil for $60 something. And I'm like, you can go to like the health food store and buy coconut oil or Amazon for $8 for like a 40-ounce jar that it will go bad before you can use it all. Like,
it really bothers me that when people just when things are accepted by the majority, then it's okay and it can be expensive. It's very, very irritating. I remember being teased mercilessly for my hair and being called, oh, you're an Afro-headed. I can't say the other word to it. You're this, you're that. Your hair looks terrible. You look like a witch. And now, oh, it's cool. So I really like it. And oh, your hair looks so cute and it's so fabulous. It's like, where were you 13 years ago when I was traumatized? You were probably the same ones who were teasing me.
Sideah and I have talked about this before, Tat, and I wanted to ask you your opinion on it because it came up because I referred to Sideah's hair as her fro, and she was like, I really don't like the term fro. And then as we talked more about it, it was because it was used as like an insult or like kind of an abusive term towards her when she was younger. And Tat, like, obviously the both of you, your texture is a little more similar to each other's than mine. Like you have coarser texture, like more, I would say tighter, more defined curls than I have. Did you have the same sort of experience growing up in terms of like language being used as kind of like as ammunition against, or was it celebrated in whether it be at home or?
It was like, I always think about it because I feel like sometimes people would say really rude things to me and I just didn't put it together. Like I live in my own head a bunch that I don't think I necessarily like put together the weird little microaggressions that people said to me. But I feel like, I mean, I got like frizzy a lot. And I did get like, I don't really feel like anyone used the word like fro, like derogatively towards me. But like, I always had it up in like this puff, like, cause when it was like big and out, I didn't feel comfortable having it out and big at all. And I really feel almost like sad about it because my hair will never get that long again. I will bleach it till the end of time. Like, I don't care. It's never, it's like, it's not like, I would rather have like blonde hair or pink hair. I guess that's what wigs are for. When I had like, and my hair was more like your textures past my shoulders and stuff at times. And I never wore it out because it just, I already felt like I was tall. I was the weird, like mixed race girl. We were like the poor family in this private school and stuff like that. And I was too shy and I didn't like having it out. And cause then people would touch it people would touch a lot, like the little baby hairs that would like pop out, but people just called that like my ray of sunshine. So my nickname was kind of like Sunshine. So it's more just like people like making like a big deal about it, but no one really, none of like my friends or like even their moms or anything like that said anything overly negative about it. It wasn't till like my teens and early 20s that I had random comments about it that I can remember. But more just making it stand out, or that they wanted me to be Scary Spice. Like, I don't want, like when people are like, well, your hair is your thing. I was like, how is my hair more Like, how is my hair such a thing? And the girl that I've never even dyed it or done anything to it till I was like 24. How is hair my thing? And like such like a big feature of mine, because why? Like, I don't do anything to it. Like, all of you like little girls over there have been bleaching, like, you know, like putting crazy colors in it, getting chunky layers, and, you know, doing different hairstyles and stuff like that. And I was just existing, and my hair is like the big thing to talk about. I don't know about that.
And how did you take care of your hair as a kid?
I've never liked doing my hair. And I don't like, I would kind of like do little like twist things, and I would like do like 90 little twisty back things and put little butterfly clips in it. And then this would be like pulled back, and it would be this big like poof. I just called it the poof. And it was just out of my way. And then sometimes I would leave it up there for like over a week or longer, and then could cut the elastic and the poof would stay. Because I wasn't like brushing my hair out all the time. The poof would just stay. It was just the poof. And sometimes I would do like a bun, or sometimes I would do my own like multi braids, but it would only be like, you know, 15 per side, and it would be all weird parts and stuff. And like, or I'd like twist it up and put it back. I always just wanted it like out of the way. I never wore it out ever. I only started wearing, and then I started doing my hair and playing with my hair when I went on the journey to like straighten it all the time. And I think that started around 17. I just don't have the patience for it. So not much. And like my mom had similar curls to Mahkeebah's, but like softer. And so all she did was put it up in a little top knot bun. I didn't learn beauty stuff from my mom. So like she just, I probably like oiled it up. I didn't like shampoo it a lot. And then I learned stuff from me going to get my hair done by other people. I like gradually learned a little bit more.
I have a follow-up question. How was your experience going to black salons?
Oh, so scary. Because I feel like I probably didn't really go to salons until I decided that I wanted to go to it. Like, we would just cut our own hair. I would just cut my own hair. I would cut my mom's hair. I would cut my sister's hair. My mom would always make me cut her hair. I'm not really sure why. We just didn't spend money on that kind of stuff. And then I thought I wanted to be in the beauty industry. And like when I was younger, I wanted to like own a spa, and then I wanted to own a hair salon. And so then I started to like kind of gravitate towards that kind of stuff. My dad, funnily enough, was the one that kind of pushed me towards that kind of, to try to find a way to like take care of it and find like a good hairdresser, because I don't know, he just saw it as like a struggle, and he like talked to more Black people, and he just like, I don't know, he's like Jamaican man about town and like talks to everybody. But the first time I remember going into, there's the Afro hair studio on Commercial Drive, and the way it was set up when I was like younger was a lot like, you walk in, there was just so much stuff, and then like, and anytime I walked by like a bunch of Black people or like a barber shop or whatever, everyone just looked at me and went like silent, or you could hear them talking about me. So I just like, and I was a really, really shy kid. So we walked in there and everyone went silent. And then we wanted to get my hair just like cut naturally, and they didn't really like want to do that. They wanted to do, they're like, we can do braids or weaves or whatever, but they weren't really into like cutting my hair as is. And so it was a lot of my dad talking, because I was too shy to like whatever, but I honestly, I've only started walking by it again, like this year and like last year, because I get like flashbacks of it. Like it just makes me, because it's like having everyone just stare at you, like a whole place just stare at you, which happened like often, but every time that happens to me, especially like as a teen, like there's pivotal times where I'm like, oh, that one was real hard. That one was just like, everybody was staring at me. And then they thought it was weird that I wanted to just cut my natural hair. They wanted to do other stuff to it. And then from that time on, then I was just like wanting to straighten it all the time. So, and that was easier to explain and find, because people, once they straightened your hair, then they knew how to cut the hair. But cutting it natural curly, like even the Black people didn't want to do it.
Well, I think that ties into kind of the overarching theme in terms of like this like European standard of beauty, where it wasn't until recent years where accepting your curly hair, I know for myself even, has been acceptable, where people actually constantly comment on my, like for me personally, I have more people commenting, how'd you get your hair like that? Tell me your hair care routine. Tell me like, can you film a video more so now than when I was younger? And I know, like, my mom's a hairstylist, and obviously she knows how to cut my hair and my sister's hair, but I wouldn't necessarily say that she knows how to handle all textured hair. Even then, like, I went through a lot of times where it was school picture day and I want her to blow my hair out and make it smooth. I had Brazilian blowouts. I ironed my hair with an actual clothes iron, and would like put a towel at my roots and pull the iron across the length of my hair, which is like a 10 out of 10, do not recommend. And I would do it dry too, because I didn't want it to frizz from the moisture. And I think it's and going to these like quote unquote black salons. And I know the one you're talking about because it's right beside a restaurant that my father and I frequent a lot on the drive. Like, you go in there and it's like, well, like, you don't want braids, you don't want to weave. And I've never had a weave in my life. And even when I went to go get braids there once, they said, oh, do you want us to take your weave out first? I was like, this is my hair. Like, so it's kind of this, and they were like, what? That's your natural hair? They were mind boggled. And it's because it's this narrative that, like, we can't wear our hair how it's meant to be worn because society doesn't accept it. Like, if one of you got a weave in order to have your hair be a looser textured curl, like what I have, that's like, oh, like, of course she'd get that. But even my hair, like, I've been in situations at work or otherwise, well, specifically at my last job, where my manager told me that she has naturally curly hair, but never wears it curly because she looks at me and I look so disheveled that that's why she straightens her hair. Like, she was basically trying to say, you know, I have really naturally curly hair, but I'm uncomfortable wearing it. And then I see yours, and yours looks like, you know, that's your vibe, but like, I don't feel comfortable having like disheveled hair. And I was like, what? Like, first of all, thank you for your unsolicited opinion that I did not ask for. Secondly, thank you for your microaggression, because you would never say that to one of the white girls on staff. And thirdly, like, what have you been trained to believe in your lifetime that curly hair is somehow unkempt, unprofessional, and not beautiful? And it comes from, you know, Eurocentric standards of beauty. Sorry, both of you are like slack-jawed looking at me right now.
No, because like it's just like because it goes like so far back, because it's like there's this massive narrative and like rules in place that have been like told that our hair is unkept, unprofessional, and messy. Mm-hmm. Like, how long have hot combs been around? Like, you had to women had to go every week and pay to get their hair done because they weren't allowed to go to work unless their hair was a certain way. You can't go to school unless your hair is done a certain way. You can't work at this certain establishment because it looks a certain way. Like, it's just so messed up, and it's so deeply entrenched that people don't even know it's happening. And it's like, it's crazy that like Black women having like their hair natural out is like almost considered like a radicalized like statement, to have it like not like, oh, it's like, yeah, it can be out, but it can't be frizzy. It's just like, yeah, it's like gradual things. It's like, oh yeah, we can have it kind of curly, but only if it's smooth. Yeah, you can have it out, but only if the curls are defined. Like, anything past that, anything that's considered like frizzy, nappy, like whatever, it's still kind of like, no, we got to hide that. We still have to make it silky. We still have to make it smooth. We still have to make it Eurocentric. And it's like, it's everywhere. Like,
well, and on the flip side of that, it's like, I think I've had this conversation recently with a few people, because 'tis the season for people getting, myself included, braids, a protective style. We love a protective style, a box braid, a cornrow, you know, some knotless. We love it. Love to see it. But also 'tis the season for our white brothers and sisters to also indulge in the same thing. And a friend of mine asked me, does it bother you when white people get braids? And to that, yes and no. The reason why it does bother me, the reason why it doesn't bother me, is that I feel like, yes, braids are just that. They're braids. Like, and throughout history, there's a lot of cultures that use braids in different ways. And, you know, like, braids aren't necessarily ethnic. However, I've been in situations in my life when I've gotten box braids or something and been told that I look hood, ghetto, all these types of terms. And it's something that I'm doing to protect my hair, to keep it looking neat, tidy, out of the way, whatever, or because it's hot as hell outside and I just don't want to deal with blow drying my hair every day, so that it looks appropriate for whatever scenario I may find myself in. Whereas I see a lot of white folks getting braids wearing them out. And then I saw a video actually the other day of this girl, she had braids in, and she said, oh yeah, I've got a job interview tomorrow, so I'm going to take these out so that I get the job. And it's like, that's what cultural appropriation is. When you wear a style as to look a certain way, to fit in or look down or whatever, and then knowing that if you go into a quote unquote a professional place, you won't be accepted because that style is perceived to be associated to a negative narrative that we don't subscribe to.
It's completely different. And I don't want someone to feel guilty if they're listening to this and they have had braids for some reason, and they don't feel guilty about it, but just understand that for us, there is a purpose for it, right? It's healthy for our hair. It helps our hair. And then it is hurtful to see someone who, for example, when I was growing up, I would see everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people in my grade would go to Mexico for a couple of weeks, get their braids done and come back and take their braids out and just think, oh, everything's so wonderful. And again, it's that you don't really have a purpose for wearing them. And I'm not saying you can't wear them to appreciate the style, but also we wear them because we have to wear them.
When I get braids done, it's like a $350 investment. I'm wearing those things for 5 months.
Like, get them. I'm gonna think you look stupid, but like, get them. But I'm not like raging all the time and like thinking like, you know, it was like, you're culturally appropriating on whatever. I just think you saw the Kardashians do it and you thought that was like a good time. Just know that they don't come from the Kardashians, and I don't really care. But like, if you're a white girl and you have all the typical things and you look like you're trying to be a Kardashian, like, I'm going to think you look stupid, but go for it. It's like, I don't hate you, but I'm going to think you look silly.
I think what's annoying about it, and this is sort of a segue, is that what also annoys me is that people are like, oh my gosh, I love your big fro. I love your curly hair. And it's nice. Like I can't say that I don't enjoy the attention, but also it's like, really? I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to be viewed as this exotic thing all the time, right? Like it's just my hair. If you knew how long it took me to do my hair, it's really just blow drying it and going out the door. So it's not a creature.
When Tat and I first became friends, I remember like soon into our relationship, I got my hair braided and I went to get my nails done by Tat. She does my nails as well. And she was like, but like, it's so long. What do you do with it? Like, where do you put it when you sleep? And I was like, I fold it up and put it in a bag and like I take it off and put it in the drawer. She was like, what? Like, what do you think I do with it? And even now, like in the summer when it's hot, she's like, well, like, what do you do with your hair? I'm like, I don't know, put it up. And like, it's worth saying, like, Tat keeps her hair quite short. So I understand where these questions are coming from. But I think.
And even as a kid, I just put it up. What do you do with it? Yeah. My mom put it up.
I think also like as women, we're used to seeing women with like straight hair that's just like flowing down or whatever. Like, so you wouldn't necessarily ask. I mean, obviously, Tat, you're an anomaly in this situation, but typically, you wouldn't ask the average girl walking down the street with like long, straight blonde hair, like, what do you do with your hair? Or can I touch it? That's not as common. But I think because for a long time, even women with curly hair were always straightening their hair. When you see someone like embracing their curl, whether they be white, black, Chinese, like whatever, someone with curly hair, people are fascinated because it's just like so uncommon to see. And I think the reason why it's such an issue with people of color is because people of color have always been treated as something that like we don't have autonomy or agency over our own bodies. So it's that much more offensive when someone reaches out and tries to grab you because it's historically we've never had agency over ourselves. We've been traded and used as like we've been commodified. So that's why it's like just like back up. Because I've been with my white friends that also have curly hair and they don't have someone reaching out trying to touch them. And it's like, I'm also the person that I don't like being touched by strangers or anyone anyways. So like, why are you trying to touch me?
Have you ever tried to mess with a white lady's like updo type of thing? Like that's you know what I mean?
Why would I do that? Why would I do that?
You would never. And yet they feel free to come and pet you at the bank, you know? You're not allowed to touch their hair if their hair is braided, but they can just come and pet you because it's interesting. Like if they They can't even imagine it being reversed. They can't. They can't. They would not allow it. The cops would be called. The cops would be called.
Someone earlier today said that thank the heavens that Black people, and this is a generalization, but we have so much joy and we're able to bounce back. Because could you imagine if you're angry, bitter people? The world would not be the same.
Oh my God. Well, no, I feel like if we were angry, bitter people, we would have had much more traction with some of our efforts. And I say that like tongue in cheek. I think something that makes most people of color, I'm gonna umbrella term BIPOC people, is that the trauma that a lot of us have experienced has made us be able to celebrate our wins and our joys with so much more gumption. Gumption's my new favorite word, by the way. But with so much more like power behind things, and also like our trauma. Most traumatized people are some of the funniest people I know. And Absolutely. If you're able to, like, it's like Kevin Hart says, like, laugh at my pain, or like whatever that special he did was. That was a bad reference, but but it's like the thing of like being able to talk about these traumatic experiences on like a humorous lens, or be able to laugh together as we share these stories. Like it creates so much resiliency and drive in order to create a better world for future generations, which, I mean, obviously I don't want to have had people experience the things that they have, but I think it makes you like a better, well-rounded person when you're able to look at these situations and laugh. Like, for instance, like the lady who pet me in the bank, like it was pretty horrifying when it happened. But now I tell you guys this story and it's created a whole other thing that we can enjoy together.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had her number so I could thank her, really.
Jeez, yeah. Thanks for the story.
Did you ever compare your hair with your friends, or feel like, I know we touched on using oil, or feel weird about the products you were using?
Yeah. Yeah, I did not. Yeah. I mean, I let a lot of people unsolicited touch my hair without asking, especially when I was younger. And then I would get that comment where it was like, oh, it's so greasy. But then I would just be like, you touched it. Like, what did you think it was going to be? And then I do remember people being like, oh, you don't shampoo your hair all the time? I was like, no. And it would look dry and stupid. And like, I don't have a greasy hair problem, Becky. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it looks great. And like, you touched it. So that's your problem if your hand is greasy now. Like, that's what I mean. Like, if people were trying to like offend me or put me down or something like that, I feel like it didn't feel negative at the time.
Did you ever have an experience with any like childhood friends or anything where you felt othered because of your hair? Or
just the being Scary Spice thing? Like, they just always wanted to make it bigger. Like, everyone just loved it. Like, it just added to my differences. And I, for whatever reason, any differences, I was just that kid, like any differences that I had that people pointed out, I was like, okay, cool. And it would be something that I was like, cool, I'm even more different now. And I just like added it to the list of the things that made me different and that I liked. So it didn't overly bother me. It was just later on, like, older people would say to me like, oh, I couldn't have that hair because it's not professional, or yeah, your hair is pretty crazy, when it was just like not even colored a weird color, like an unnatural color or anything like that. Or when I did a work experience at a hair salon, at the end they said, we can fix your hair, and they straightened it for the first time. So that it was like things like that, and it was always from like adults, but it never really felt like from my peers. I get a little frustrated when people say like my hair is my thing, because it's just how, like, it grows out of my head just like everybody else. I really don't change it as much as people like say that I do. Maybe it looks more obvious when I change it or something like that, but it's like I dye my hair twice a year. And so I just always kind of get frustrated that it's such a big feature for people to talk about with me, especially when it's shorter too. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that I had my first relaxer at age 8, and I thought that it was the greatest thing ever. My scalp was burned, but I kept going back. And I'm wondering, what is your experience with relaxers? And do you have any hopes for, the younger generation?
You used to see those like relaxer kits in the, just like in the drugstore back in the day. And I would always just stare at them and be like, what was it called? It was like, yeah. And there was like another one.
African Pride. African Pride. They also had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dark and Lovely. Dark and Lovely.
Boxes, and I was like, I don't understand what's going on here, but we didn't do those. And then, yeah, it was when I started becoming more interested in my hair, and that hair salon that I did the work experience at. I think I was like about 16, maybe 17. And I don't know what they did. I think it was just some kind of relaxer. And that's when it really started it, because I did want hair that fell flat. Like, and I think that's why I would do like the braids, or I would put it up and have it like slicked back, because I didn't see anyone around me with that kind of hair. And my mom's hair wasn't like that. My sister's hair wasn't necessarily like that. So, and like that time was like silky straight hair. Like that was the vibe, like heavy. Like it was insane. Like people had no wave in their hair whatsoever. And so I just went on a huge mission to like try any relaxer, spend all of my own hard-earned teenage money buying like a straightener. I've spent like $500 on like a ceramic straightener straight from a salon and everything before anybody even had one. I got Japanese hair straightening. I got Brazilian blowout. And then I did find eventually like a nice lady that my dad found. And she's like this, like a second mom. She's so lovely. She's like this British Black lady. I can't remember where her family's from. I think Barbados. But she did one kind of that wasn't like so extreme. It still kept a bit of like a wave to my hair. So that one was really nice because I had the option to like straighten it, but then it also kind of like I could let it air dry, and it wasn't like quite like Mahkeebah's curls, but it was just like softer, and I had more, I could play with it more rather than what my natural hair was. So that was nice for like my final little relaxer thing. I did like that for like the last 5 years, but I had a lot of breakage, a lot of damage, a lot of money, and just way too much time doing my hair every day. Like it was in my head, it was supposed to make things faster and easier and more versatile, but really I was doing my hair like half an hour every day, or just wearing a bunch of hats. I wore this Panama hat.
We know you can't see, but Tat has a hat collection behind her.
Yeah, she's got a stack of hats. She's Tat in a hat.
This thing from makeup school. I'll wear this mustard hat. That's still a cool hat. And I love that Panama hat, but that Panama hat was my entire life. And I would just straighten the bottom and just like not worry about the top, because I was also not getting my relaxer done very often.
This isn't the first time you've told me this, but it makes me laugh as hard as because I think every curly haired girl, like across generations, races, everything, every curly girl can tell a story of when they couldn't quite get their roots straight enough and just plopped a hat on, and they're like, good enough.
No, just see this part. The relaxer would be grown out. I would go twice a year. You're supposed to go every like 6 weeks? No,
6
every
weeks?
6 months is what I would do, and I just couldn't get my life together. If I was doing really good, I would go like every 4 months, and everyone was really proud of me. My hairdresser included. She knew I was just so weird. Yeah, everyone just accepted it, and I just wore hats all the time, and I would not work a job where they would just be like, no hats. Like that was unacceptable. You couldn't like. If you tell me to wear sleeves and tell me like, no, yeah. If someone's like, you have to wear sleeves, pants, and no hats, I'm not working there. I can't do those things. That's not happening.
Tat, I'm not gonna lie to you. I worked at a steakhouse in Vancouver for a very long time, and it's when I had my pixie cut. And when my pixie cut started to grow out, I had a really hard time straightening my roots. And so I left that job and started working at another job where I was allowed to wear hats behind the bar. And that is no word of a lie. There are so many photos of me behind that bar wearing this green hat. This green hat. I have it. I can go grab it and show you guys. And it was my favorite hat for a whole summer. You've seen me wearing a hat.
It looks really good on you. Oh my God, that's so funny. I'm crying. No,
I literally went to go work at this bar where all my friends worked at because I was allowed to wear a hat. I was like, I can't not wear a hat, because my other option was to take a ton of gel and hairspray and make this like Helmut of hair. Just because it wouldn't straighten. It was so short and so blonde and so broken that I would just like either hairspray it and gel it to like death, so it was literally like a skullet, or wear this hat.
I never
and,
had
like,
a hat
just straighten
face. I
the
did a lot
ends.
of things, but I didn't have a hat face. Look at
We
a
all
big
look
old
really
head.
good in hats, though.
Today, I saw
We
to
all
keep
look
the
really
sun
good.
out of my
Hat
face
yesterday.
Today I ran into you on the street the other day wearing a hat. Tat ran into you in a hat.
Oh yes, I scared Tat.
You just lied to us. You're in your hat face.
Yeah, because I'm older. I don't want sun in my face, not because I'm not straightening half my hair. Ladies, come on.
Just make that flow. I'm in it.
Yeah, I'm into
Yeah.
it for different reasons, but you're in your hat phase now. It's okay.
So I really love that job. This is the thing.
Yeah, we keep, actually, I don't think we can air that because we're going to
Oh my
out all of
God.
us. We're going to out all of our sisters. We can't do that.
What's going on. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, so we like to do some rapid fire questions. We've talked about some heavy content today. We got emotional. We talked about feelings, hats, trauma, hat trauma. That's what we talked about. So my first question, what is a product that you have tried that absolutely did not work for your hair?
Olaplex?
A controversial statement.
I know. I understand like putting it in when you're getting the bleach out, but like after, I was like, I don't know what's going on.
and what is the best beauty product you've used on your hair?
Okay. Oh, I actually have it. Okay, because I bought it from this supply store in Toronto, and it's called Carasoft styling lotion, and I didn't think it would work or whatever, but I put it in my hair and it makes like the curls all fun, and it was probably like $5, and I was gonna not use it. It's for some reason has sunscreen in it.
That's good.
I don't know. It's called Shapes. It's Shapes. I don't know what the brand is. It's like I don't know if Carasoft is the brand or Shapes is the brand. A random thing for $7 that I was confused by.
So that leads into my next quick fire question. Drugstore or salon products?
Drugstore, honestly. Like, yeah. The
Right?
salon stuff is usually like some of the salon stuff, like especially now that we have access to the interwebs and stuff like that, a lot of the salon stuff, like they're just triple pricing stuff that is also sold in drugstores. It's just like from different places or American ones. Like I feel like the stuff that we can get here is like American drugstore stuff, triple priced.
I think that it's a specific to curly hair thing too. I think the curly products, typically, especially drugstore ones, you find more like black owned brands and they just have it dialed sorry, L'Oreal may own a certain brand, but they just just can't compete.
Well,
Yeah,
and
and,
also
like-
there hasn't been a big market for curly hair products, right? So
No.
we're not, it's not like you go to a salon and we're going to buy $40 for that Olaplex. It's like we're working our way in there, but you can't mess with our stuff. Okay, we know what we're doing.
It's kind of working in our
Yeah.
favor that they think that we won't spend money on it, so it's all like reasonably priced. You know what I mean? Like we have it just
True.
you know. We're like they can't afford that. Let's make it $8. You know. And then whatever over there that got it on the shelf at the whatever, it's like they'll pay $50 for a tiny shampoo. Okay. Yeah.
And what is your current hair care routine?
What did I put in there? I put an conditioner, and then I put an oil, and then I put this fun Shapes thing, and then I put a curl cream, and then I have like a sheen spray at the end. I'm taking my hair more seriously, my curly hair more seriously. Before I just kind of existed and I tried to keep it like moisturized, and I just don't like when it looks like a sphere, but I'm now making my curls definitely more defined. So I'm trying harder.
I know everyone listening can't see, but Tat, your hair looks fantastic.
And this is like second day hair.
Oh my God, her
This
new
is
Grace
second day
Jones
hair.
haircut.
I haven't even I didn't even do it today. It looks pretty good today. It's
Yeah, it
because
looks
this
good.
weird Shapes thing. I wish you could see my infomercial.
You should get a branded
'Cause it's like, I don't even
Instagram
know-
post.
Yeah, it's like
This
who
is
knows
not
where
sponsored.
this came from. Like, who knows where this came from? $4. Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question. Bonnet or scarf?
Ooh, the bonnet. And this is also the first year of bonnets for me. So that I missed out on a lot. I knew about silk pillowcases from the nice hairdresser lady that's like my second mom. But I didn't get a bonnet until this year, and it's very exciting. And that's why I can have 2-day hair now. I'm learning.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the bonnet club.
Yeah, it's very exciting. You feel really cool, and like I feel like a granny in a really cool way. It's amazing. Who knew? Lots of people, not me though.
Oh, wonderful, Tat. Thank you so much for joining us for some
You're
giggles.
welcome.
Thank you for agreeing to all the crazy things I ask you to do, Tat. I love you.
I will do pretty much anything you ask me. Yeah.
Well, don't say that.
I said pretty much. I felt like I was covering my face.
I have really bad ideas sometimes.
I mean, if it's funny, I'll do it. If it's a good story, I'll do it.
That's Trash would like to honor and recognize that this episode was recorded on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations.
We would also like to thank Jessica Gibson at the National Screen Institute of Canada and our mentor, Kim Ann Wilson, for their support with this project.